about client journey. The goal here is for us to be able to create a process, really being able to think about the experience of your clients after they've been brought on to working with you in your agency. And so the goal is to be able to build a meaningful relationship. And so what I see happen all the time is that agencies do really amazing work, but what happens is they end up kind of going into the sort of dark void while they're working on the work that they're going to be doing, and then coming up with this sort of big surprise, allowing the client to then kind of feel like they are not being recognized and are not being seen and are not being heard. The number one mistake that I see agencies make is this when it comes to building a relationship with their clients is they're kind of ignoring them for a very long period of time. And if this is you, that's okay. We're going to talk about how we can really be able to change this and really be in a place where we're able to preempt their feeling, preempt their anxiety, preempt their nervousness. I want you to think about just general speaking, right? When it comes to someone making a purchase, you and for you too, the client or the customer will have buyer's remorse. And that's just a fact that will happen. But how do you actually allow for yourself and your agency to minimize that feeling that your client has? And so what I see happen loads of times is you'll sign the contract, you'll be really excited, you'll go through a kickoff call. And if you're not doing that, we'll talk about that too. But you're going through a kickoff call and then you go kind of dark for a long time. And how does that ultimately feel? It does not feel very good for the client. And then you come out with this phenomenal work. And what Maya Angelou said is that people will not remember what you did, but they'll remember how you made them feel. And I want you to pay extra close attention to how you're making your clients feel while you're building the relationship. You have this really huge high for them. And then immediately afterwards, they kind of go dark and then they get to a really kind of big lull. And so kind of think about it this way, right? I mean, you now, when you go buy any piece of electronics, you now have it come with it being charged. And that didn't used to be the case. That actually was changed primarily by Apple. And Steve Jobs at the helm recognized that when buying one of their products, someone had to wait 5, 6, 10, 12 hours of charging the device before they were able to use it. And so rather than doing that, he actually added, which cost a load of money, to actually charge every single one of those devices, to allow for it to actually come charged. Allow for the device to actually have that charge so that when the box is opened, that consumer could use it. And now this has become the norm across pretty much every single electronic that you can buy today. And the reason that this was done is because you wanted to reduce the time frame that they feel buyer's remorse, being able to create meaningful connection. And so what you have happen is that you have this initial sort of high for when you bring on a new client. And then immediately afterwards, you go dark. And it goes back down. And then you show the work and their excitement goes back up. And it's not ideal for the client to have these huge emotional swings. For anyone, it's not fun. And I imagine for you, you don't want to have this be the case for your clients, right? So what I want you guys to do is I want you to think about what is the emotional experience for the client throughout that first 100 days or so. And if you're really interested in this topic, I would highly recommend reading Never Lose a Customer Again by Joey Coleman. Absolutely phenomenal book, and walks you through this entire mindset and thought process in a lot of detail, and talks about how these types of things can be applied through a number of different organizations, and how you can really think about the client experience. And so in your workbook, if you grab your workbook, you have this page. And what I want you to think about is, what exactly is it that your agency is doing, the action that is being taken every single week throughout that first 10 to 13 weeks of when you're working with that client. And I want you to list out the positive emotion and the negative emotion of what they would be experiencing, being able to allow for you to start to think about what exactly and where is the client in that process. Where are they and what are they feeling that day, today? Allowing for you to really be able to think about them and what exactly are they going through. And there's loads of little things that you can do, from sending a welcome email that shows excitement to looking through their product or their website, the team that's going to be working on it, a little bit of a personal note about them, being able to celebrate them coming on, being able to preempt what's actually happening, to being able to send regular communication, even while you're just working kind of in the back end. You can send screenshots of the work that you're doing, letting them know that the actual project has gone from here to here, just creating and allowing for them to actually have a little bit more of just some, even if it's low level, low touch communication throughout your project, allowing for them to just feel seen, recognizing that ultimately every single human being on the planet wants to feel seen, wants to feel heard, wants to know that they are important. And how exactly is your agency doing that for your clients? It's so incredibly important. And the experience, and I'm sure that you've had this happen, working with a vendor, working with a service provider, buying a product, a tangible product, and having really great experiences with some brands, and then having ones that are very sort of lackluster. And hopefully for you, you don't want to have your agency be lackluster. You want your agency to really be able to cement that relationship with that client, being able to allow for them to be seen, heard, recognized, building a long relationship with them. There was a study done by McKinsey that was talking about the fact that if you're able to half your client attrition, you're able to double your profits. Because every single time you're acquiring a client, it costs time, it costs money, marketing, onboarding, all of that costs money. And if you're able to actually just cement and actually create a raving fan, not only is it good for the client experience, it's good for your agency's bottom line. It actually allows for you to have more referrals too, because that client had a very positive experience across the entire engagement. And just little things, really small things, and they don't have to be expensive, that allows for your client to really feel seen and heard. So what I want you to do is go ahead and take the worksheet, really think through what that experience is for your client, and then come up with a couple of ideas of what you can do to just stay in communication, have them feel seen, have them feel heard. And there's loads of little things, that from videos of someone using a product to sending sort of daily communication or every couple of day communication, that allows for the client to know that they are still there and that you are still there and you see them and hear them. And then the things that you're learning, the concepts that you're coming up with, the creative amazingness that you guys are, allowing for the client to know it, recognize it, and feel it. And remember, again, the client isn't going to remember what you did, but is going to remember how you made them feel. If you have any questions, any thoughts of, hey, is this a good idea? Go ahead and drop it into the chat, and I'm absolutely happy to ideate with you. All right, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you next week.